Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's replace this oil pressure control solenoid in this 2018 Chevy Silverado. This thing is attached to the oil pump, so we'll have to remove the timing cover to get the thing out of there. If you want to replace the oil pump, you'll have to do everything that I'm doing now, plus remove the front axle to lower the oil pan. A pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Enough messing around. These things right here, you just sort of push down on them and out she comes. Same thing with the other one. I already pulled that off though. Mass airflow sensor. These air cleaner hoses right here. Same thing right back there, that guy. And she's free. Oh. Just pull that out. Now we want to take out this cooling fan. We'll just pop this hose loose right here. And there's a bunch of anchors for the wiring all along the front. Just pop them all loose and free. And unplug your cooling fans. Two 10mm cooling fan bolts right there. And same thing on the other side. I know you're upside down, but right there. And it's a fan. Because of the way the truck's designed, the drain on the bottom of the radiator isn't going to help me much. I'll just disconnect the bottom radiator hose and drain it into a pan from there. Even after I've done that, the way these engines are designed, there's no bottom radiator hose. So when the auxiliary plate comes off, there's always going to be some kind of a mess. Now we're going to take off this hose, this top radiator hose, and this slightly lower top radiator hose. I guess that's a bottom one. Once those are out of there, we just got to disconnect this line over here, and this whole mess of hoses comes out. I got to take this belt off right here. 1/2-inch drive ratchet will do it. And that's out of there. That bottom belt, we usually just cut that off. We don't try to save it, but I might try to walk it off since it is new. At this point, the wires we need to disconnect is this hot wire to the alternator plug-in right there. We have to unhook these wire anchors there and there. This temperature sensor, there's a nut right there that has to be taken off as well. That anchors this harness, and a bolt right there. Also a 10mm, that also anchors the harness. Those all got to get out of the way. Now this alternator has to come out of here, and the AC pump needs to be unbolted and laid to the side as well. It has two 15mm, well, one's a stud, one's a bolt. Those have to come out of there. Pull the stud out too, and there's a little bolt on the back side, which I'll try to get a better view of later. We also have to disconnect these two cooling lines right there that go up to the heater core. Now we got to get this bracket off. I think there's only one bolt left holding it in after you loosen the AC pump and the alternator, and I think it's that one. Let's give it a shot. Yep, that's all it took, just one bolt and that's out of there. Now we got to get after this auxiliary plate. First thing we want to do is take this 15mm bolt out that holds the tensioner in place. With that out of there, we can unbolt the auxiliary plate. This is going to make a mess. There are 1, 2, 3 13mm bolts holding it in on each side. 1, 2, and the third one's behind where the tensioner was. And there's that mess I was talking about right there. My pan's only catching about half of that. Gross. Now I got to clean all that up. With that out of the way like that, we just got to pull this belt off. I'm just going to walk that one off, unplug this wire, and this wire right here. This is the wire for our oil pressure control solenoid. Inspect that, make sure it didn't get rubbed someplace, but it's usually okay. Let's get those out of there. And that's like that. Now we got to get on that crank pulley. It has a 24mm bolt in the center of it. I'm going to zap that off with an impact real quick. It took the ultimate sacrifice of 3 men and a boy to remove that bolt. Actually, just my biggest impact with a 1/2-inch line. But it almost didn't go. I actually feared for my socket. Now we got to pull that pulley off. I got the 3-jaw puller on there. This is just one from a parts store. I don't know how much it costs, maybe 20 bucks. I got the jaws biting back there, and I'm just going to take this off. It's hard to show the real struggle on film. Let's just say it took a minute to get that pulley off. Now we're going to take these timing cover bolts out. There's a bunch of 13mm bolts around here, and there's 2 front bolts on the very bottom of the oil pan. Let me see if I can get you a view of that. Those guys right there on the front of the timing cover holding the oil pan to the timing cover. There's one bolt right here behind this vacuum pump pulley that you have to remove with a wrench. You can just unbolt this vacuum pump and move it aside. If you do, that makes it a lot easier to put the timing cover back on without wiping the silicone off. I just do it this way and go slow. And with all that stuff out of the way, that's your boy right there. We just got to get that out of there. I'll show you how to do that. Now all we're going to do is just take a pick and pull this out a little ways just so we can get it with a pair of pliers. And my pliers are right in front of me, holy crap. And out she comes. Now we have to get this guy down and out. Don't complain about your view, guys, trust me. Ugh. And we gotta wiggle it out of there. Uh-oh, there it is. That's the guy right there. I'm starting to think this is not the truck I replaced the engine in. I think it's a different one. I should probably ask somebody if they can confirm whether or not this is the one I re-engine in. I'm pretty sure it's not though, because these are not my marks. It looks like it's got a new valve lifter oil manifold on there, and it looks like somebody's put a timing chain on it, but I don't think it was me. Just by this mess of silicone, I'm pretty sure that's not me. But all that aside, let's do a video now of me putting the thing back in. If you want to see that, look for it